It's a good idea, and I think we should discuss it further. We're going live, incidentally, just so as you're aware. No, that's the wrong button. I want this one. There you
I
go.
was g-
Yeah, no, it is a properly good idea. Good evening, everyone. It's roadmap time, and I pushed the wrong button in the same way that everything's just wrong. So right. Hello, Adam. Good evening, Adam. Right,
Good
make
evening.
yourself comfortable. I've got a minute worth of business to take care of. So many of you noticed that we went out a little bit primed, but not quite armed, and certainly not aimed with the roadmap this afternoon. Apologies for that. It happens. The main reason it happened this time round is because we didn't have any releases in between the last roadmap and this one, and usually the first section are what's just been released. The second section is what's coming up next, and so on. Yeah, the web editor mistakenly thought the sections were different sections. It happens. Human error. These are things. Now, in regards to the various inconsistencies that are in the roadmap and how stuff gets missing and some of it's badly worded and bits and pieces are here, there and all over the place, and some of it's out of order and some of it goes missing and all of that kind of stuff, blame me. Yeah, I'll have that one. That's my fault. When we put the roadmap together to start with, I wrote everything that was on there. All of the various different developer types out there who tend to talk in bleeps and whistles more than language. They all sent me the stuff they were working on. I wrote that into something that made some sort of sense and stuck that into the original roadmap. It then got transferred as more people got involved into a big tracking document. So we have a routine catch up on the tracking document every other week on the Friday before the roadmap goes out, and we check through what's missing. What else have we got going on? Should this move up? Should this move down? What's the progress on this? And we all don't. So Adam and I both kind of sit there, kind of taking notes, going like, right, we're going to need to talk about that. Yeah, I need to understand exactly what that means, because if a question comes up when we do the roadmap live, then we should be able to answer it. However, since we started adding increasing numbers of people to contribute towards this tracking document, it's no longer getting that single point of contact filtering to turn into one coherent list, which is why it's become a little erratic, and that's in the last kind of 3 or 4. Now people are just pasting stuff in. It's Adam, and I'm letting them. So when the new year rolls around, we'll have a general clean-up of the roadmap and pull it back into some sort of order so that it makes some flipping sense, because it has got a smidge disorderly. I'm playing Rapid Transit in the background today, incidentally, but this is one that I used a month ago because I'm on holiday, you see, so I didn't record a fresh one today. But the reason I'm doing this is because Nat's going to take over doing some of the roadmap stuff next year, but until then, it's still my bag at the moment. So there you go. So apologies that it is imperfect at the moment, but we are still trying to get you as good a set of information as we possibly can. There you go. Now,
Cool.
did
Yes,
that seem
I
genuine
managed
to
to.
you?
Yes, I managed to copy a lot of my good old dev technical speak in there. Acronyms, short names, terms, all sorts. So yeah,
Yeah.
need to be a bit
Oh,
friendlier.
oh, and the reason that the language changes from one roadmap to the next is because when I write it up, I turn it into English, and then when I'm pushed for time, I forget to then copy it back into the tracking document. And so when I put a new one together, I just take it from tracking document. So this time, yeah, it was less than ideal. My apologies. Anyway, we'll sort that out for you, and hopefully, if you've got questions about stuff that's missing and so forth, then we'll address that on the stream now. Before we do that, though, next up you've got LGV. So LGV is out on the 17th, if I recall correctly. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's out on the 17th. We've got a preview stream coming this week. The preview stream will probably be on PC. We're going to see if we can make it so that the launch stream can be on console, so you can see the difference between the two. We haven't done enough kind of previews on console, so but LGV is coming up, and it's looking pretty good. We've seen the comments that have come in with regard to the catenary and the way that's set up, and we've covered this before, but there is a certain amount of artistic license that's been taken simply to be able to get it done in a realistic amount of time. Were we to painstakingly reproduce it perfectly, it would take a significant amount more time because it's not a system we've already got developed. So there's a small amount of artistic license that's been applied just to make it a nod towards catenary in a French kind of a style. So that's why there are inconsistencies going on there. Hopefully it will not interfere with your enjoyments of the route, but we'll talk more about that in the preview stream and on release. Right. What next? I'm going to sneeze again. My cat has been shedding hair like nobody's business. Mastery. Adam, talk to us about mastery. It's not your thing, but I'll let you get a couple of words in edgeways while I get my my respiratory system back under control.
I was just recording there. 8 minutes. You've managed to talk there in one go.
Oh, that's nothing.
This is not transit.
It's not a challenge. So mastery, what is it? For those who haven't come across mastery before, what is it?
So it is a collection of challenges and tasks that gets you extra rewards. It gets you extra achievements linked to Dovetail Live and your profile.
That was significantly shorter than I was anticipating there, Adam. Have another crack. Go on, keep going.
So, well, actually, the preservation crew have been involved in this a little bit. We have had our new UI artists involved as well. So we're making sure they're getting up to speed and being used as quickly as possible. And, we've got a selection of different content. I don't know whether we are talking about the type of content. Do you know?
Yeah, let's talk about the mastery rewards that are going in.
Cool.
It's coming up. It's not like we're going to change them now. So,
no, cool.
Yeah, put it in
I didn't
there.
know what level of surprise we wanted to go with. So we have a number of additional decals for the Livery Designer. So that's really cool. There's going to be some more categories for that tool. And that will hopefully be expanded further again in the future. So we'll see how that goes. And then we also have additional scenery that will be added to the core Train Sim World 2 routes. So that's Sandpatch Grade, Cologne, Aachen, and Bakerloo line. Again, you only get access to these. There's additional content if you complete the challenges that are set. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. So
and I did see, last minute thing that I wasn't aware of.
Oh, yeah.
Something about a build a snowman. I don't have the details on that one. Maybe you do, Sam.
No, it's just no. There's I saw that too. Build a snowman.
So, yeah.
Don't know. So we'll see exactly what that means. Will you get credit for stuff you've already driven? Do you know? I don't know.
I haven't actually seen what the challenges are.
Yeah.
But I'm
not
entirely
guess.
sure on that.
Charles
No.
sometimes. So Charles heads up Dovetail Live, who looks after Mastery. He would know, and sometimes he tunes into these streams. Charles, ping me on the old teams there if you've got your ears on, and you can let me know whether they get credit for stuff that they've already driven. My expectation would be no, but you don't know that for sure.
Well, that would be that Dovetail Live want to be nice for Christmas, and therefore anybody that potentially pre-qualifies, given your stats, that may well be the case. But yeah, we're not the people who hold those keys. So
okay, yeah. So we'll get you the information when it comes up. Not that it'll change anything. You either do get credit or you don't get credit, and it's not really going to change anything. Will Mastery be on the 2020 routes that previously had Mastery, or only TSW Core? Challenge. Oh, here we go. Mike's thrown in the knowledge.
Cool. I was going to say it is definitely only Train Sim World 2,
Yeah.
and it is the current 3 core routes. They're the routes that applied with. We thought that'd be the most appropriate and the widest audience.
Well, because everybody's got them.
Well, yeah.
Those are the only routes
That
we can
has
guarantee
Train Sim World
everyone's
2.
got.
That has Train Sim World 2, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible we could add more in the future, but until you see it on the roadmap, it's not coming. Tick that one off your bingo card. There you go. Mike's saying that challenges don't actually count progress so far, but they've been built this time, so they don't unnecessarily punish you.
I like the sound of that. That's definitely a step forward.
Yeah.
Who wants a challenge that punishes you? There we go.
Yeah. Jake's asking, why has East Coastway Livery Designer magically appeared?
Well, that is one of the topics that we want to talk about this evening. Do we want to jump in now?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, why not?
So, really pleased to announce we've been obviously mentioning that we're doing Livery Designer work with the Preserve Collection. And East Coastway is going to be our first release. We have a number of items, a number of trains that have had the Livery Designer compatibility added. But actually the first one that is really a complete package that we want to do something with and share with everyone is the East Coastway. So that means that the next update to that route, not sure when that will be, obviously, we don't talk about dates, but that will be the Class 377, the Class 66 that comes with East Coastway, not the one that comes with Great Western Express, and then the JNA wagon that also comes with East Coastway. So they will be the first, I believe, the first set from the Preserve Collection that will appear in the Livery Designer. So that's really cool. Really excited.
Yeah, if you've got just on a separate note, if you've got TGV, LGV questions, save them for Thursday night stream. We'll answer them then. All you need to know is that on Thursday you'll get to see it in motion live. So there you go. Okay, so we've added a few routes or a few trains to the Livery Designer on the roadmap. How long do you think it's going to take? I know we're not going to put a date on them, but are we talking multiple months per train? Are we talking a relatively small amount of work? I mean, what sort of timescale should people expect?
Well, the timescale that we'd be talking about is the development side. That's not necessarily the release side. No. So in terms of turning around, now that we've done the investigation, we've looked at what it takes to convert trains into the Livery Designer, make them compatible. You're looking at roughly 2 vehicles a week if they are things like carriages or wagons, but it could be as slow as 1 vehicle a week if it's something like a locomotive or something extremely detailed, really. We're looking at the moment whether we can do a 3-car unit, I won't say which one, in a week. So we'll see. But roughly, I like to kind of time box it to a week, a project, as it were. So if we're talking something like 130 vehicles, 135 vehicles when I last counted, you are talking a number of months. And again, I don't know what the release schedule would be like. Yeah. So see, we've done rolling stock for East Coastway over a given period of time, but then we're actually releasing all of them in one go. So
okay, so sometimes we might have bits kind of trickle out when it's appropriate to do so. Sometimes it'll be stuff all bundled together. So yeah. It's not about the amount of time it takes to build it, it's about then the scheduling of that release afterwards.
Absolutely.
Okay, so is the current plan that you've got, because obviously this sits firmly under your umbrella, are you planning to do everything?
I don't see why we shouldn't do everything, but probably what's more interesting is which vehicles are going to come first and what is the order. And so far, I have found it a little difficult, we've mentioned before, but I am using discussion on the forums and feedback and polls that we've seen as gauging what trains do the community want first. So yeah, we have taken some of that.
Everyone wants their favourite one first. Take that one as read. Okay, just don't even ask them. You know why? Because
I have my
they're gonna want their favourite ones first, and everyone's got a slightly different favourite one. Adam, you're just making a rod for your own back and a mess of the forums. Thanks for that. Very, very helpful. Okay, a couple of people have asked how Southeastern High Speed is coming on. Just great. It's coming on great.
Yep.
There you go. That's all the news there is on that. See how it's on the roadmap? Keep your eye on it. We'll talk about it in more depth when we're closer to talking about it in more depth. As things get a bit closer, what you will have seen with LGV is we started talking about it before it came out, which is unusual. But you'll get more on that pretty soon. Yeah, that's
Who
something.
needs to worry about Southeastern high speed when we've got the LGV and the TGV to be worrying about? That's what everyone should be focused on.
Oh, you worry about
That's
that.
certainly what I'm saying.
Some people aren't bothered unless it's on this scepter dial. No, you can keep your French trains in France. The French can care about that.
Not if they let them through the Channel Tunnel.
Yeah.
I want them through the Channel Tunnel.
How far in development is Southeastern High Speed? Hold on, let me just check the roadmap here. Yeah, I think it's in production. There you go. You're not going to get any better information than that. You can reframe the question as many different ways you like, but you're going to get no hints, no clues. Sorry. Right, okay, good. What else have we got next? American Trains for the win. Thank you. Are we going to get new scenario? Okay, let's talk about some of the stuff that we've seen coming up in discussion in the last week. That aren't necessarily roadmap based, but it's the kind of stuff that would sit on the roadmap. So I just saw a question, it scrolled off the screen already, about when are we going to add more functionality to the scenario planner, for example. We'd love to. We'd absolutely love to add more functionality to the scenario planner. When are we going to start working on multiplayer? We'd love to. We'd love to start working on multiplayer. With all of these kinds of features, I mean, we talk about this on a regular basis, but we have a massive list of things we want to do. I mean, it's enormous. And they have to be done in a set order. I saw someone say that we hadn't made any improvements to core in the last year. Kind of go like, back it up a year. I want to stick them in a time machine and boot them back to 2019 for two reasons. Firstly, because people who make comments like that should be forced to live through 2020 again. But secondly, so they can do a compare and contrast about just how much has changed in the past 12 months. We've got new features in core. It runs better than it ever has before. We've got routes brought through over onto the new game. It looks so much better than it did last year. It's got variable adhesion chucked in now. We've got some extra tools and all of that kind of stuff. So to say that nothing much has changed is wrong. Thank you very much. Any time frame for the secret release? The time frame for the secret release is lengthy. You'll find out what the secret release project name is in the next roadmap. Yeah.
Yeah, I was chasing to see if Sam would release any information about that.
No,
it's not going to be on my stream.
Not this time. No,
I'm going to have to watch the streams myself.
Next week. Are you not here? Are you not here for the last one? On
No,
the 22nd.
not,
We've got
no.
one more roadmap to come this year before the end of the year.
Really? That's right. Calendar.
Yeah,
I'll just note
22nd.
that down.
Adam.
22nd.
And you notice how I'm doing this one despite being on holiday.
Good call.
Adam? Yeah? So when I say you'll be doing the one on the 22nd then, won't you, Adam? The answer is yes, you will. Good, man.
I'm really good at puppetry, you know that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Good. Simple. David's asking, are Steam engines coming? Once again, it's on the big long list of things that we want to do. So,
But
yeah, there you
It's
are.
not on the roadmap, so...
Injin saying, you feel like DTG isn't giving attention to the forums with regard to suggested routes. What makes you decide which route to do? We use, I mean, we talk about this on a very regular basis. We use the suggested routes as just that, suggestions. We also have plenty of developers who've got ideas of, I really fancy doing that. We also then have people inside the business who kind of go, you know what, I think this one would be quite popular with our players. And obviously popular with our players means we're likely to sell some. So when it comes down to a tie-break situation, that's where your suggestions really come into play. We already know what people want in terms of, you know, we've run through the top 50 list of your most desirable routes and locations to do stuff in. But when it comes down to it, we have to make a decision that we think is in the best interest of the game overall. We don't purposefully release stuff that we go, we know nobody wants this, let's stick it out, because that wouldn't work. So instead, we try and put together the stuff that we think people will want, and that people will want them in a suitable amount of volume, because that's the way to go.
But then there's such a plethora of trains and routes out there. We're never going to dent that, I don't think. There's always too much for us to be doing. So, yeah, like Sam said, everyone wants their route, their train. We're never going to satisfy that itch. We're just going to have to do our best.
You only have to look at Train Simulator and the number of routes that has built up in a decade. The amount of stuff that's been built up there. We're not scratching the surface yet, so there's going to be more. Preserved collection and sound.
Yes, so we were meant to be at least giving some more detail on that front in this roadmap, but even though 2 weeks has passed, we have just been too busy. We haven't managed to expand out of the single line that currently says improve audio for the preservation collection. So maybe we'll try and do that for the 22nd. However, I do now have a full team. I do now have the engineer that is going to be improving the sound. He is now training on looking at some various rolling stock that a few people will be interested if I was to mention it, but unfortunately I can't. So yeah, we are now on the road to making more of that and showing some progress. At least the first stage we'd like to do is put out some priority and note which vehicles we're probably going to work on first. So at the moment it's sitting in the same kind of zone as the Livery Designer did. Things are going on, but we haven't got a priority yet that we're advertising. So yeah.
We hear your feedback on sound. I know the pun's unintentional, but no, we get it. We understand it. We know what you're talking about, and it is something we want to address. Now, the preservation crew doesn't have a dedicated sound engineer, so what we do have is a coding engineer who is currently training up on sound engineering to be able to take those tasks on. How well that pans out.
Exactly, they won't go out and record new sounds. They won't be to that level, but they will be able to edit the blueprints. They will be working with the audio team and finding out what they can do. If it needs to go further, then I just need to submit requests to get some of the audio time. So
I'd ask about, have we recruited a specialist to redo sounds and so on? We can't talk about that in a general sense. It will be on a case-by-case basis. To set your expectations into some reasonable kind of sense of reality, chances are it will be the existing sound packs that we've got for each loco, for each environment, but the mixing will be altered so that the feel of them is superior. So don't expect miracles. It might happen from time to time, but remixing the sound that we've got now should come along nicely. We'll see how it's going.
One thing I did notice is a discussion from last week's roadmap about why we're putting the platform information systems in instead of focusing on the audio fixes. And the simple answer to that really is that they are done by two different disciplines, two different people. I have an artist whose job at the root environment and the art there, and I have, as we just mentioned, an engineer who's going to be worrying about the technical side. If I've got the engineer working on the technical side, I've got to give the environment artist something else to do. He's not going to fix the audio. So that's why we're able to do multiple things at the same time.
Yeah. Are we open to sound sources from the community? Yes, absolutely. Get in touch with Matt via the forum, and he will be more than happy to have a conversation with you. It's as simple as that. So long as it's not YouTube links, we do get sent an awful lot of YouTube links. Yeah,
they are not a sound source.
No, that's no good. No, that's no good to us at all. You have to be able to go out and record them for yourself, or have recordings already, and you have to own a copyright on those recordings, and you have to be able to license those to us. It's not as simple as, hey, I heard a thing on YouTube the other day, here you go. That's better. It's not that simple, because we need to be able to isolate them as well. So, but if you think you can contribute, get in touch with Matt via the forums, and if you can't find Matt, send it to me, and I'll forward the information across, and we'll take it from there. But there you go. Someone said, wouldn't it be easier to port the sounds from TSW 2020 into TSW2? That's exactly what we did. And that's why mixing is so important, because we have used exactly the same sounds, with one or two notable exceptions, and but it sounds different. So getting the mix right is what didn't quite translate across. It wasn't as simple as copy paste to get the sounds playing within the new game. So we need to get the mix right. And that's why we're going to go back and revisit it. What are the graphics settings on the gameplay? Running at 4K on PC with everything turned on. There you go. Which is then downscaled to 1080p.
Out of curiosity, which console are you going to be? Do you want to stream on next? If you were going to go to console,
it's not a case of want; it's a case of what we've got available to us, and I think it will be a PS4 dev kit, probably. So don't know. I'll tell you what. I'm on with Matt on Thursday. We'll discuss it then. Yeah, there you are. And what DLC is it? This is Rapid Transit. This one. Yeah. Right. What's wrong? The BR101 is for Köln Aachen. Oh, it's not. We got that wrong, and then we changed it, and then it changed back again. This is the error in typography between the live one last time round and the tracking document, which wasn't updated.
Do you know, we could have spun that a bit better of, we like to make sure you read all of the roadmap.
No. They won't go for that. No, it was never coming for Köln. It was always coming for Rhine-Ruhr, and is still coming for Rhine-Ruhr. That's a typo. Someone else keeps asking, why is LGV in upcoming? And it wasn't when I wrote it. No, it was in next arrival when I wrote it. But it felt that it would be misleading. So someone named Mike felt that it might possibly be misleading to put it in next arrival when it was not the next arrival.
I was going to say, because the supporting update to the software comes before the launches of the software. We don't do the two on the same day.
There's two releases coming in short order, with LGV being the second one. So that's why they put it in upcoming. I said that you were all smart enough to realise that next release doesn't mean the absolute all of this is coming in the next release, and that you'd be able to figure out that actually it means that the release of these items is imminent. See? But no, apparently not. I was overruled. But, these things happen. What's TSW Mastery? Rewind to the start of the stream. Watch that. There you go. We're not going to do repeats. Not this week. No. Yeah, there you are. What else have we got going on? Have you ever thought of adding an FPS counter on console? All right, I've thought of it. There you go. So the answer is yes. I have now thought of adding an FPS counter on console. That's good. Now this is a good one. When are the extra layers for Munich Augsburg coming on console?
I have to get the okay from Matt on that. It is probably now moving over to the Preserve collection, as we preserve our content as it moves forward. But I think Matt is still holding the keys, holding the setup of that. So he needs to release it to me, and then we need to find an appropriate place when he decides that it is appropriate to now release it.
So when we talk about appropriate in this regard, what we mean is that the underlying code of the game has been optimized to the point that the consoles can now run the extra layers. Because if we could add them tomorrow if you want, and then your console would fall over. Yours probably wouldn't, because for some reason yours is brilliant. But a whole bunch of people would. And all we'd be told is it's broken, because it would be. Because we've got work to do on the way that optimization is done, which is where there's a message that nobody picked up when they proofread this, which goes, out of memory report, this, if you want to follow along at home, it's in production. Yeah, this is down to me again. Out of memory reports caused by various routes or trains. Expand, reword, optimization is what it says on the roadmap. Brilliant. It's all right. Since I copied this down and ordered it up and set it up properly and all of that kind of business, it's been through 4 different people who've all just kind of gone, yeah, and they kind of go, right, okay, that's it. No, we've got to go back to scratch, build it back up again, and get it right, and then keep it right. And in fact, I might not let you post anything directly into the tracker anymore. I think that might make more sense.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'll have to have words with Matt Porter as well. But other than that, it's going to be fine. Yeah, Matt tolerates me, and so far it's fine.
I did see a question there. Is there any chance we could add the overground or the main station for Leipzig into Rapid Transit? Unfortunately, that part of the route was actually built static, so I don't even think the track is real.
That'll be
quite a significant
track.
project.
We do quite a lot of scenery track, and it's there just because it's there in the real thing. But as it turns out, it doesn't have function, so you can't actually put anything on it, because functional track is actually more costly in terms of memory use than something that is basically a pretty picture in the background. So probably not. Speed Slayer, you can ask this question 1,000 times and you're only going to get the same sort of answer. What's easier making routes? Is it Train Simulator or Train Sim World? Now, with Train Simulator, there you go. That's Adam juggling apples and oranges there. But the basic answer here is that Train Simulator has had 10 plus years of the editing system that goes along with it being enhanced and people getting used to working with it. The editing system we use in Train Sim World is still under heavy levels of development to make it work as well as it can do. So it's trickier in Train Sim World right now, but then Unreal Engine does a whole bunch of stuff a lot easier than we could ever do in Train Simulator. So it's neither one nor the other. We allot around the same amount of time for routes in one or the other to be developed, but it's you can't. There is no right or wrong answer on that one. What else have we got going on? Would you be able to add a random button in Timetable to pick what train weather time we get? It's doable, and some kind of what that would be is just drive now, right? Or play now button on the route, and it would pick something at random for you. It's a nice enough sounding feature. Where would you like it in our feature list of things that we want to address, though? And that's what this all comes down to, is that the process of ongoing development of the game and in fixing everything that we've got coming up is what do you want first? And we make those decisions based on a combination of severity and simplicity. If it is a simple fix, knocking it out and getting it done is a relatively good way to go. Equally, if it is a bad thing that's affecting a lot of people, then we try and deal with that as quickly as possible. Like John saying, when is Bakerloo Line going to get the PA announcement? How severe is that? Is that maximum importance to you? It might well be for the sake of adding immersion, but for other people they'll go like, no, but the mix of the sound of the trains on Bakerloo could do with a bit of attention first. And someone else might say, well, the fact that the signals trigger at the wrong point of the train could be the thing that we work on. Other people might say, well, when I come out of the tunnel at the other end of the Bakerloo line, the sun's missing from the sky. There is no right order to do things that will improve the world for everybody simultaneously in a way that they find equally valuable. So what we try and do is we do what we can. Tintin, I've seen your question. I'm going to answer it in a minute. Someone else asked a question about 18 times already, and Nicole is asking, are we actually watching recorded gameplay on Rapid Transit? Yes. The nature of this stream
Safer than watching it live.
Is the two
While we
talky people, not the train stuff is just in the background, so you can say, yeah, I watched the roadmap stream. Oh yeah, what did they say? That actually, you might come away with that anyway. Yeah, and so it's triage, it's prioritization, and we try and do the things that we think are going to be most effective in the long term. Some of the things that we want to address, we can't do yet because there are other tasks that have to be done beforehand. Or we know that we're going to be working on something else that will then make supplemental things easier to do. Every time we release a new route, it invariably comes with a small tweak or a small improvement to the way that we do things somewhere.
Every single one.
Take, for example, passenger information screens on Bakerloo. And now we're talking about passenger information screens happening elsewhere. Munich had got PIS going on. So every time we release something, it adds. And then what Adam's working on is then reinforcing, rebuilding, replumbing that which we released to make it work as much as possible. Right. How's the fix? That's the question. How's the fix for Northern Transpennine red light issue? You are familiar with the one. There's two of them, isn't there? Is there one in Cole and one in NTP?
Yeah.
In the scenario planner.
Yeah.
Great Western.
Great Western. Yeah, it's actually going really well. We have now, I think, brought the development of it to a close. I'm actually in connection with that. I've got some time from an engineer to look at a few bugs that have come up as a result of trying to fix that with the scenario planner itself. So we're ironing out a few kinks in the scenario designer on that front. So yeah, we're now, those are going to move from in production to upcoming before Christmas, I reckon. But then what release the release window they come out in, I don't yet know. But yeah, we're going to wrap that work up before Christmas. I'm really pleased with it. And actually, as part of that, and to try and say sorry that it's taken a bit too long to deal with, I've expanded the details as well. So
Right.
there will be more choices in the scenario planner for the Great Western Express and the Northern Transpennine routes. And I hope from the learning that I've gone through with that I'll be able to start looking at other routes in the same fashion as well.
Okay. I'm noticing quite a few people spamming the same question over and over again. I caution you, if you do that too often, the moderators will bounce you, because all it does is just make the chat move so fast that we can't keep up with it. And then we do the questions that we do. Let's go through Isle of Wight, because Isle of Wight fixes are coming up, and I've got the list of what's fixed right here. Some of these may make sense to you, some of them may not, but let's go through them anyway. So the Loco coupling collision bug has been fixed. Okay, good. Plane being pushed up when walking between coaches when moving has been fixed. Guard and head-out cameras inverted left to right, that's been fixed. Passenger saloon lights impacting on the FPS rate that you were getting, that's been fixed too. There's a HUD update for consistency with other add-ons. The audio volume for drivers' windows, there is a fix to that, but it's not quite 100% yet, so that might be addressed a little bit further in the future. Audio added for the seaside. We've added platform stopping markers. We've added door control explanations to the introduction. The horn button animation has been fixed. Incorrect train formations from ride pier head in service mode, that's been fixed too. And they've added platform climb up along the whole length of the platforms. So hold on, they said that's just been fixed. It says add platform climb up along entire platform. Okay, no, I said it right. That's okay. So there you go. So that's all in next release. So that's coming along pretty swiftly. Yeah, that'll be dealt with. And who was it? Because it's all scrolled once again. It's all scrolled again. No, I'll wait for them to spam the question a second time, or in fact fifth time. Right. Okay. There you go.
Something else on my list. There was a lot of discussion in the last week about West Somerset Railway's timetable and where did the 31 go? Why can't I use other trains on it? Why, in fact, can I not just pick any train that I want to drive and drive it on any service on any timetable? I did actually have to count the number of times that the word any was used in the discussion. And the simple answer is that there is no way it's possible to use any train on any service. Because if you've got, say, a 3-car multiple unit that is running a stopping service and you went and switched it for a long, heavy freight train, the timetable's not going to work anymore. What if you have a freight train that is uncoupling a number of wagons or cars at a yard and then moving on, and another train later on comes and grabs those wagons?
Yeah.
If you swap that for a passenger train, that's not going to work anymore. So it is a lot more complicated than I think people maybe realise. It isn't simply a case of let me swap any train with any train. However, what we do try and do is make it so that it is possible to swap like for like trains and trains of a similar performance or makeup. Right. We realise that there are not enough choices on some instances, and that's actually something that's coming back to the Preserve crew. So as we go through routes and look at fixing issues, that may be an opportunity where we can expand on things.
Yeah. Okay, good. Speed Slayer asks, have you ever thought of adding quick drive to TSW2? I answered that like 5 minutes ago. Seriously, people, if you ask the question, listen out for the answer, because we'll get to it. What are the substitution options that you're asking for on West Somerset?
So I think it was a mistake that the 31 got taken off. So I think we are looking at bringing that back. I don't know when at the moment. It isn't on the roadmap yet. But also other similar British Rail locomotives. We want to be able to give more flexibility on that front. So it isn't on the roadmap when I'm going to do that yet. But I will say that it is on. When it will appear on the roadmap, you'll see it on the roadmap.
Scotty asks, what do the codes mean next to the roadmap items? They tell you what it is. If you head over to the forums, there's a good thread on the topic that actually explains exactly what they mean. But they tell you what it is. So you only need to look at the code and you understand exactly what's included in it. Or you get a good idea. A consist editor for scenarios. We'd love to do it. It's on the list. You know the list is pretty long, right? Yeah, this is going to be the answer, is that we do have a lot of, when you make a good suggestion, you know, we pay attention to that, and if it wasn't already on the list, it's you know, it goes on the list.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why actually we don't have time to respond necessarily to the threads. I did actually mention this week on the forum that we are reading them, but we've got to read them, we've got to collect that data, we've got to plan that data, I've got to do the fixes, I've got to process, I've got to give Sam the information for the roadmap.
Thank you.
There's a plethora of other things that have to go on.
Plethora.
So yeah, we're grabbing the information. Do please post on the forums. We do read them.
Can we make changing the weather in the scenario designer easier? This is Scenario Planner 2.0, right? It's on the feature list. We've got a bunch of stuff we want to do for the second version of Scenario Planner. Are we working on the second version of Scenario Planner? No, we're not.
No.
We want to. We want to do a lot of things. We haven't talked about passengers yet this evening. We want to fix them too. There is so much that we've got in here. It's like the scope of Train Sim World was just too big. You know, our aspiration outstripped what was in any way realistic. And now it's a question of, where do we focus? Where do we point our attention in order to make the best possible experience? While we've still got all of these other bits going on that you kind of go, you know what, if we were to go back to that, we could make that so much better. If we were to go back to that, we could make that so much better. Forever, just constantly iterating on the same bits and pieces. So
that's
our
cool.
objective,
That means I've got a job for forever.
Well, it's nice to think of, isn't it? So you know, that is why seemingly knucklehead stuff doesn't happen. I've seen a couple of people say, like, why are there still no labels on the map? You know what? I would say that, you know, that should be right near the top of the list, because the map is pretty useless without the labels on. Something that we're actively working on at the moment? It's not something we're actively working on at the moment. Should it be? That's an easy one to answer. Is that's up to you. That's something that you can answer. So we've got, there are a ton of things to add, and the good news is we're going to continue adding them. Absolutely. Max Rom, why has this been downgraded? It hasn't. We didn't downgrade anything this time around. Oh no, hold on. Well, there was one thing that moved backwards. I remember when I wrote this yesterday. I'm sure one thing moved backwards. No, one thing was dropped off entirely. Nothing's moved backwards. It might have been categorized wrongly, but nothing has moved backwards.
Because we did have an instance on the last roadmap where something was listed twice, wasn't it? So maybe we're still playing with that one. So.
Could be. Do we have any plans to bring Amtrak to Train Sim World 2? Yeah, sure.
Not on the roadmap, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not on the roadmap. When it comes to the roadmap, you'll know that we're working on it. But until it turns up on the roadmap, we're not working on it.
And Sam is very, very pushy about he wants more on the roadmap. It is the dev team saying, "Whoa, slow down." Oh,
yeah, I know. I do nudge you to go like, the natives are getting restless. Team, give me some features. Give me some new stuff. Anything along those lines. Anything at all. On which note, talking of features, let's talk about Rail Driver.
Rail Driver.
Right, we're aiming.
Outburst there.
Sorry, beg your pardon.
Just my outburst there. I was excited. I had Rail Driver.
Well, that's okay. You're keeping it real, I suppose. So, Rail Driver, for those of you who don't know, is a piece of hardware, rather like a joystick, but not like a joystick, that is a lump that sits on your desktop in order to replicate train controls a little bit more fluidly. If you go look it up on Google, you'll go, oh, that looks like a nice piece of kit, because it's a nice piece of kit. They're still manufacturing.
It's a subwoofer, actually, as well. If you give it the weight, it's a subwoofer.
Sorry, beg pardon?
To give it the weight and the rumble, it's actually the whole box is a subwoofer.
The whole box is a subwoofer.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
With some controls mounted on it.
Right, so this is a piece of hardware that people only tend to buy if they like simulating trains. And we've been intending to bring this to Train Sim World for ages. But we finally rounded the corner, started working on it, and it's almost ready to go. It's currently with the beta testing group to give them the opportunity to try it out. And it's about 50-50 whether we're going to get it across the line before Christmas or afterwards. We don't know yet. We are aiming to get it across the line before Christmas, but our initial release will be a beta release. So it won't be expect this to work perfectly. It will be expect this to have a few issues with it. And the reason for that is because there are about a bazillion different PC configurations that it's going to come into contact with, and we couldn't hope to test it on all of them. So rather than us continue tinkering around till we think it's right, what we're going to do is we're going to get it to the point where our beta team have said, yeah, it's pretty much working. The QA team has said, yep, that works, maybe with an inconsistency here or there, and then we'll let you do it as well, and we'll take your feedback in order to get this stuff done.
And am I right that the Preserve team will need to update rolling stock to work with it? It won't be a universal work with everything out of the box. I think I'm right in understanding that. Right.
So yeah, so there you go. So there are going to be some excitements that come with Rail Driver, and hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on it sooner rather than later. We will have done more in terms of that's PC only, incidentally. Just putting that out there, it's PC only. We are looking at doing more stuff with more controller options. You'll see that we added Track IR onto the list. That's also PC only, but that is also something that's being explored at the moment. Consoles at the moment can use keyboard. I got shouted at when I said mouse support for consoles. Then
That was,
I
that
mean,
was funny.
surely that's just a plug and play. Yeah, I got told that there is no such thing as a surely. It's just.
Yes.
So
if there's just in the sentence, it is not just.
yeah, no, you can't use the word just. There's
No.
anything but just. We yeah, again, mouse support on console. We'd love to add it, absolutely. But we've got to work out, what is the right order of attack in order to do as much as possible for as many people as possible. So it's something we'll continue to talk about, but we've got no plans with that regard at the moment. Could we not produce and sell our own peripherals? We could if we decided we wanted to get into the peripheral business. But what we have right now, right? So if we just take Train Sim World as a single entity, what we've got right now is here is the whole of Train Sim World. Right? Oh, there's all of it. That's everything that we sell. The whole lot is in one pie. How many of those people would buy the peripheral? Start slicing that down to make it about that much. It would not be a big. It would take an awful lot of investment, and it's a skill set that we don't possess. Sure, we could do the programming side of it, but what we don't have is the mechanical side. We've got various developers who skunk work their own bits and pieces out of Arduinos and all sorts of business to do various technical jiggery-pokery when they're playing at home. But this is not a team we currently possess. So we'd need to recruit that, and then there's manufacturing, and then there's distribution, and then it's not a business that we're in. So while we could undoubtedly design one and do it, the likelihood of us doing so is negligible. Is Hamburg Lübeck coming this year? No. The last piece of DLC for this year is the LGV. That's it. It's the last one. No more after that in 2020.
Someone mentioned that Track IR has not been added to the roadmap. It's not in there. I saw it on the list.
I added it to the... Someone has reverted my flipping roadmap. I added it. It was on there. It was on the list. Right, that's it.
I saw it.
I'm taking back control. No, that's it. Nobody else is permitted to touch it starting January 1st.
And there are instructions all over this list about how to use it as well.
About how not to hose it. I even got that signed off as well. I got I can't call him the professor. What would Matt Porter be? The mad scientist.
The mad scientist.
The mad scientist gave me the thumbs up to stick it on the list because it is something that's being worked on. So Southeastern High Speed next year. We don't do dates, James. You know that. But I would have said that's probably a decent enough guess. I reckon. Yes, that's probably a decent guess going on there. Someone's got to tell me to start leaving suggestions on the forum. Stop messing with my roadmap.
So one other thing we were going to talk about this evening was the 1970s Western Region DLC.
I was going to come to. I was saving that as a nice, so we can. That way we can. Now's a good time. I'm not. This is not a criticism.
Well,
it's
only
more
in
a case
that it actually rolls in because it's not on the roadmap either. I've just noticed.
What? I put it on the. No wonder no one's getting excited about it. Whoever edited this, Mike, has omitted some rather salient and important points. Oh, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
let's see if it's under the name.
We'll clean this up entirely for the release of the roadmap on the 22nd. Right, we'll tidy the whole thing up. We'll make sure it is accurate for the 22nd.
So I don't know whether that works on someone's bingo card because I haven't announced that when I shouldn't have. That was supposed to be.
No, that's absolutely all right. Well,
you can't stick that one on the bingo card.
Talk about it now. You
right.
go now.
So obviously we've been doing some great stuff with Great Western Express. We've been working on the Class 52 in the Livery Designer. Well, actually, we've had an idea for a Western Region pack in BR Blue, so roughly 1970s era, on the cards for a long time. I think it was a very early DLC idea right at the start of Train Sim World. It's certainly very close to Matt's heart. So yeah, we have 1970s era-ish BR Blue Western Region DLC pack that consists of the Class 52. There's going to be some nameplate working going on there. I don't know the full details about the nameplates, but that's certainly been in the discussion. And yeah, there's going to be a really nice rounded locomotive pack coming out there that I think everyone's really going to enjoy, and it will be different to the West Somerset Railway 52. We are not simply giving it a new name and a different colour scheme. It will be a different pack. It will be a different loco with different rolling stock coming with it.
Okay, all right, cool. So that sounds like a reasonable level of fun, if you ask me. But yeah, it's a 70s era pack, and that could be well, it fits in nicely with NTP and Tees Valley as well. So no, that's all good. Someone else asked me. I saw a good question, and they haven't spammed it, and now I can't remember what the question is. Hold on, I'm dredging the mind bank to see if I registered it significantly, because it was a good question and it hasn't been spammed, which is annoying. Yeah, just no, I haven't got it. I haven't got it. No.
So while he's worrying about that, again, another topic of discussion that I saw a lot about on the forums is why we're using BR422 on some S-Bahn services when actually the BR423 would be more appropriate. And when I went round and double checked and asked people and spoke to Matt, involved in the timetables a lot, it was basically the train that we had available to put into the timetable at the time. There is no conspiracy. There is no reason why we're using that over another train. And it may well come round when that route gets updated or touched by the preserve crew. If we have a need to, then we'll bring in the 423 as well. And we'll get it added to the roadmap if that is the case. But yeah, there is no conspiracy reason. It was merely the train we were using at the time to build that scenario, that timetable and those services. So
right, I got you. Swiftag says so. The first batch of preserved collection trains in Livery Designer early 2021. Apart from East Coastway, isn't East Coastway just like happening?
East Coastway, I believe, is going to be the first one. The others that are on the roadmap, they're going through their checking processes and QA and testing and things. But I don't know when any of these will be released in particular. I just know that the preserve crew have done their part of the job, and now it is over to the publishing team. Okay,
fine. Dean's asking, do we have volunteer opportunities to help speed up production? No, we don't. You're either part of the team or you're not part of the team. But we welcome advice and feedback and suggestions and expertise where it is available. So, we're routinely hiring. So rather than... There are rules regarding voluntary staff, because the one thing you can't do with voluntary workers is insist they do anything, because it's voluntary. So if we're relying on you to finish something, we can't say, could you finish that, please? Because you could just go, no. So whereas I don't doubt, Dean, that is a genuine offer going on there, it's not a way to go. The 377's already out, East Coastway.
East Coastway, yeah.
Yeah, we know what's going on.
The update to it that's coming soon will add the Livery Designer ability to it as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, all right, they are. Smashing. I can't remember what that good question is. There was a good question.
End of train devices, or is that for...
No, that's what EOTD stands for. I didn't know what that stood for, but I do now. Yeah, no, there you go. No, it was an American-based question. Certain of it. But, I can't remember what it was. I scroll, I can't find it. Yeah, no, see,
Tube Fan 1973, will the update for the 377 add selective door opening? Not in the sense that you are asking, no, it won't.
Okay. I still want to know how much your French route will cost over here in the US. I'm only going to assume the usual $30. Congratulations, you have assumed correctly. The price of what we sell stuff for is the same as the price that we always sell stuff for. It costs what it always costs, and there you go. Yeah, will Clinchfield have a caboose? We're not talking about the contents of what comes in upcoming routes and locos and stuff like that. That's not what we do on the streams. We're putting out increasing number of articles about upcoming releases. But on the roadmap, what we want to do is cover as much as possible. Which is why we talk about as many things on the list as we can. The Sun is still missing on PS4. Weren't you telling me earlier that it's now gone missing on Xbox as well?
Yes, so we have released that fix, or it's in the it's in the next patch. Well, this is it. So certainly the community was focused on telling us that it was gone on PS4, so we focused attention on PS4, believing that everybody else was quite happy. We've put it out, or it's going to come out shortly, and now we've been told that it's on Xbox as well. I haven't checked that myself. It was the main engineering team that worried about that. But yeah, if that is still the case, then we will get back to it as quickly as we can.
Okay, fine. The note, I've already answered Tintin's question. Tintin's question has been answered. That was about something else. But I stored it, answered it, erased from memory. I ain't got space to keep stuff stored in there. Any more chance for videos on French signals and so on? We'll do a good look at everything on LGV on Thursday this week. We'll do a preview for you this week, and you can it's Matt and myself, and we'll poke whatever we got. Has anyone? You've said Mike, but has anybody started working on manuals and guides yet? No, not yet.
Hasn't.
Have you?
There has been rumblings. I think we know what we want to do. So the plan has come together. Actual creation of content probably hasn't started yet.
Yeah. Okay. Can we please get a text font drop down list for text layers, and is there any chance there can be a way to type something rather than alignment of text layers? Thank you, Graham. I'm assuming you're talking about the Livery Editor. Well, what you'd be talking about there is Livery Editor 2.0, which is not something we're currently working on. But that kind of thing, yeah, absolutely, we'd love to add it. We would love to do it. Can the preview be done on the console? No, we're probably going to do the preview on PC, but we'll do the first look on launch day on console if we can get that working. Yeah, good. There we go.
And obviously the TGV on LGV will be straight into the Livery Designer.
Yeah.
So that will be
cool. All new stuff goes straight in. Yeah. Exactly. Will the full Baby Bullet consist be compatible with Livery Designer on release, or only the MP36?
No, we will do whole DLCs, I think. I cannot see a point where we would release just the locomotive and then you have to wait before you can paint the carriages. Certainly in terms of how we release the content, even though it's worked on differently, I'm pretty sure it'll be whole DLCs. It's just what order those DLCs will be upgraded, I don't know.
Any insight as why the 101 is for HRR? Wouldn't it make more sense of SKA or HMA? So it could use the use of LZB as well. No, I'm not even going any. Just seriously, we list it originally as coming for SKA, and everybody goes, oh, and now we'd say it's now on HRR, and you're going, but shouldn't it be on SKA? And going, Germany, sort yourselves out. Let us know what you want. Right, come to a consensus. Correct, yeah. Come to an agreement, please. Yeah. It's coming out on HRR. If you want to run it on Colnarchen, then you can do so in the scenario planner. Yes. Yeah, there you are. Good.
Yeah, one good thing about the scenario planner actually for the German routes is a lot of the stock can be straight away picked from the scenario planner on any route. You don't need necessarily the off the rails mode. Whereas some routes like Sandpatch Grade, you wouldn't expect to see many other trains that weren't from that region or from the US on that route. So
You
the
wouldn't
selection is a
expect a
bit
train
small.
that wasn't from the US, would you?
Mm,
Would you, though? You
exactly.
wouldn't. Apparently, we should extend East Coast Way to Portsmouth. All right. Yeah, there you go.
That'd be the West Coast way, not the East Coast way. So that's actually a different route. There you go.
Oh, see? Oh,
Geography.
you've just been adamant. I need to come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
I'll workshop it.
Yeah, if you were going to extend East Coast Way, that would be to Hastings or Orr. That would be the East Coast Way route still. So.
Is the 1970s Western Pack, is it Great Western or is it WSR?
It's not going to be West Somerset Railway. No, I know that for sure, but I don't know what the route is. I'm sure that's going to be confirmed at a later date.
Okay. All right, good. Right, there we are. Can you explain why there is a limit on route length? Yes. All right, Sam Swart. No, we've covered it before, you apologised for asking the question again, but it bears repeating. I figure if we repeat the answer to some of these questions enough times, everyone will know at some point. It is not about the length of the route. Right? The length of the route is not the thing that matters. It is the amount of interesting things to do on that route that limit what we can do. And the only reason that there is any limit at all is time. We set a kind of a max level of time to create any new route, because any more than that, and all of a sudden it starts to spiral beyond what we can reasonably expect to sell in order to cover the cost of having developed it in the first place. So we have a capped time length to build these routes. Now, if we were to build 2 stations and then in between is nothing but sand dunes with a track running through it, we could probably do you in the usual length of time about a 1,500-mile route. That would be very, very doable. Would it be fun to play? No. The other games are
Even with
available
the rail driver,
where you can
keep you occupied.
pick something up and drive it for 16 hours and nothing happens. Try a flight simulator, for example. What we try to do is create a range of interesting and engaging gameplay choices. So choices of activity that you can do within a fixed area. And the more we put into that area, the more time it takes, which is why Bakerloo Line, despite being probably one of the shortest, among the shortest routes that we've done, takes ages. It took more time to do that than the longest route we've done, which is LGV. And that's the long and the short of it. Is the routes are the length they are because of how much there is in that route.
I mean, the way I like to look at it is not the route length. It's, okay, what is the train that I'm driving and what do I want to do with it? And then what is an appropriate route to be driving that train on? Simply saying the route's got a 3-figure mileage doesn't make it better than a route that got a mileage. You know, something like the West Somerset, actually, there's loads of cool little things you can do on it. We might even at some point, and this is not saying anything, we might develop a yard where you do shunting. If anyone remembers the Doncaster Works route that I actually had a hand in back on Trenton 1. You know, that's a tiny little route, but there was loads to do on it. So it's not about route length.
Jafar said, well, give us a UE4 kit to go and do it itself. Go to unrealengine.com, go download UE4, build your magnificent route. Good luck with that. Yep. Let us know what you're calling your train simulator, and we'll look at it when it comes out. Yeah. You can, if you want to go build a train simulator, go make one. There you go.
Yep. Unreal Engine. Yeah. Off you go.
Yeah. There we go. For example, the Gothard wouldn't finish halfway through the tunnel. Well, that wouldn't be desirable, would it? No. Rail Fanning in Virginia says, went out to CSX's tracks, got a load of audio samples. How would you like to send them to you guys? Get in touch with Matt via the forum, or me, either me or Matt, via the Dovetail forums. Send us a private message, and we'll work with you from there. If we can make use of them, we'll see what we can do. But let's kick that conversation over there. That would be ideal. Right, okay. Have we got anything else pressing to talk about? Have we got anything else on our what we were going to talk about list?
No, we've covered everything. I've taken some great notes of people talking in the chat as well. So yeah, we've covered everything so far from my perspective.
Everybody who has asked a question, will you ever do, followed by anything at all, you have two routes open to you. Number one, if it is a route or a locomotive or a train of some kind, take it to the forums and add it to the suggestions list. If, however, it is a feature or a function or a platform support or a piece of hardware or something like that, the answer is, until you see it on the roadmap, we're not working on it. When you do see it on the roadmap, you'll know we are working on it. And that is the roadmap stream. See, you finish the roadmap with the punchline and the catchphrase and all of that kind of business. That's, you know, semi-professionalism at work right there. It always feels like there are more questions where we have to say, no, unfortunately not, than there are questions that we can answer in a positive way. But we do try and explain why things are the way they are as often as we possibly can. And for, you know, the hope is, and everything that we're seeing is that you guys actually enjoy the game that we've got here. You know, you enjoy the experience of doing it. It's just like, would you please add just this thing? Please, and then this thing, and that thing as well, and this thing too, and then add these things, improve this thing, and we're working on it. We're going to be doing all the things when we get to them, but there is a finite amount that we can accomplish in a small amount of time, and so it always feels a little bit deflating coming away from a roadmap stream, because you kind of go like, oh, there's so much stuff. But that's a good thing, because there are so many ways that we can make this better in the future, and that's exactly what we're working towards. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Sam.
So you're going to stay away from my tracking sheet now, aren't you?
Well, maybe one more time this year.
Okay, one more time. Not as much as I'm going to have words with Michael. maybe later on this week. I might let him go this evening. Thanks for tuning in. We're back tomorrow with Workshop Wednesday. Adam and not Adam. No, not you. No, Matt and Jamie. We'll be delving into the Steam Workshop, fishing out something that looks miraculous and seeing what they make of it. And then on Thursday evening this week, you've got the LGV preview stream with Matt and myself. Matt will be driving, I'll be fielding your questions, and you'll be there, and it'll be a delight. Probably. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a splendid rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. What button am I supposed to... I'm supposed to... This button. Okay. Say goodbye, Adam.
Bye, Adam.